Welcome to Franchise Marketing Radio, brought to you by SeoSamba. Comprehensive high-performing marketing solutions for mature and emerging franchise brands. To supercharge your franchise marketing, go to SeoSamba.com. That's SeoSamba.com.
Lee Cantor here, another episode of Franchise Marketing Radio, and this is going to be a fun one. Today we have with us Alex Popper with Hellometer. Welcome, Alex.
Hi. Thanks, Lee.
Well, I'm excited to learn what you're up to. Tell us about Hellometer. How are you serving folks?
Sure. So Hellometer is an artificial intelligence tool that helps restaurant owners grow revenue using cameras to monitor and improve customer service times. So in plain English, it's regular looking security cameras that monitor both drive-throughs and dining rooms and show you where and when your team is losing you revenue because your service speed is slow.
So now how is this kind of leveraging artificial intelligence?
So it's entirely an artificial intelligence solution. We actually deploy a fully fledged neural network inside each restaurant that processes the video to understand what's happening, in particular, what your customers are experiencing.
So what exactly am I seeing when you're recording?
Yeah, so it's a great question. There's two things that are happening. The first is the camera is seeing a world that is really similar to what like a self-driving car sees. So, it's understanding people coming into the restaurant and what they're doing. And you can see that on the user's end, through a video feed where, it's literally, identifying individual customers and where they are, in their process throughout your restaurant, whether they're going through the line or ordering or getting their food or sitting down. And then the other thing that you see is, our service speed reports. So you can imagine it a lot like a typical drive-through timer, but for your dining rooms as well as your drive-through, where we're showing you what your speed of service looks like for each day part, as well as outliers. Hey, it looks like there was a 15-minute long service interaction here. As well as highlights about where and when there may be opportunities to boost revenue and improve that service.
So when I'm looking at am I ever looking at the video feed, or I'm getting some data from the feed is kind of now taking what it's seeing and saying where there's rooms for improvement?
Yeah, so it's all the above. There's video feed, which you can view, and then we report in three areas. So we have an app that looks at the live speed of service, and you can see that on your phone or a tablet. And again, the output is sort of similar to what a drive-through timer would give you. We also have a web app where you can go and drill down and look at a little bit more of kind of root cause analysis. Understand, where there's bottlenecks and what's causing them. And we get pretty granular with the data that we deliver. So it's a tool to really kind of diagnose. And then we also send daily emails to, owners or, their management staff or even line employees, showing them like across an enterprise, how their speed of service looked like for the previous day, as well as their performance relative to other locations in the brand.
So can you share what something that would be actionable that I would get from this as opposed to those other solutions?
Yeah. So it's really interesting, when you begin to have speed of service as a core component of your operations. All of a sudden, there's a lot of things that come to the forefront when you have that as kind of a spotlight. So, for example, we just wrapped up a major case study with a large sandwich chain, and they're able to improve typical speed of service for each franchisee by just shy of a minute, so 47 seconds, and that's coming from things like understanding, hey, we're understaffed during certain periods of the day, or we need to put up placards that are missing for the actual recipes, or there's training opportunities, or we need to help guests navigate the menu so that they go through the order step a lot more quickly. And so really being able to pinpoint and identify where there's parts of the business that you can start to actually pick up speed.
So now when you're kind of rolling this out, so first I would imagine you're selling it to the franchisor in a lot of cases. Is that correct?
Actually, we sell primarily to the franchisees. And that's because, what we do, what our goal is to actually boost revenue. There's a very direct relationship between speed of service and revenue. The ops science on this is for about every 7 seconds, you can decrease speed of service. You'll pick up at about a 1%, increase in revenue. And that comes from winning market share away from nearby competitors. It comes from decreased customer churn. And so that tends to be really, really attractive to the individual franchisees.
So then the individual franchisees like, hey, the systems that were given to me, they're great, but I think we can tweak some stuff here. And I'm really curious to see how Hellometer can help me kind of improve what is.
Yeah, that's right. I think it's useful to sort of point out what Hellometer does that's really different and unique. So QSR is all about speed of service. It is quite literally in the name and the core value proposition. But historically, there have not been really good ways to measure that. I mean, for some brands, they have a POS and you can look at, the time between an order gets placed and a time that the order gets completed. But that's it. It doesn't give you a lot of granularity. And there's all kinds of problems with that, right? It doesn't actually track the customer experience, which is, as soon as they walk in the door. And so all of a sudden we're able to give a reliable tool that can't be cheated. You can't bump orders off early, and really, really gives a very clear picture of each customer interaction. And that's just not something that's been available to folks before. So, especially for multi-unit owners who are not in their restaurant each and every day, we're able to paint them a very clear picture of what's happening. And that's really exciting, especially when you can do that for, effectively an update to their security system.
And so the purpose of this, and to be clear, the purpose of this isn't to go, Bob's not doing his job. It's to kind of get a holistic picture of ways to improve the speed of service and the customer experience.
That's exactly right. For us, we bill ourselves as an operations management platform, not a people management platform. It's less about Bob and what he's doing and really understanding across your business, where and when you're simply losing revenue because service speed is slow. We think that is a lot more interesting in terms of being able to increase your bottom line than, have closer management of like Bob directly.
Right. It's because you're trying to improve a system. You're not trying to solve an HR problem.
Yeah. And, people are part of the system, and, it's not, part of the solution then may go and be, having conversations with Bob or, conversations with Bob's manager. But, the first step is really being able to identify where there are opportunities. And Bob is a part of a complicated system, but it's also larger than just Bob himself.
Right. But I would imagine if they're rolling this out or thinking about it, they got to be mindful about how Bob is viewing this in terms of his privacy and what you're looking for and looking at.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And so precisely to your point, we don't, what they call in AI is collecting PII, or personally identifiable information. We don't uniquely identify Bob. Everything that we surface is aggregated. And so, we work very, very hard to make sure that there's a system in place where, folks can feel rewarded when there's good service outcomes, but B, that they're not feeling penalized or, uniquely called out or identified. And work really, really hard to kind of uphold the highest expectations when it comes to, employee digital privacy.
So now, how has the rollout been for you? Are the franchisees, is this something that's going like gangbusters, that they're all kind of, hey, where has this been all my life? Or is this something that needs a lot of explaining and education to see the value?
No, it's not something that needs a ton of explanation. It's always been a good idea. You take something like drive-throughs, right? Drive-through timers have been around since, the 70s, in various forms. And you would never in a million years think of opening a drive-through without a drive-through timer. Well, dining rooms really aren't any different. The only difference is that the technology just hasn't been there before, and so it's really exciting being able to deliver the first AI timer for dining rooms, and also be able to apply that technology to drive-throughs as well.
So now, how quickly can they start seeing actionable results from when they say, okay, we're flipping the switch and all the cameras are on, to, okay, now I got information. Now I can tweak the system a little bit?
So it takes about a month to start to see really tangible results. And there's a couple of sort of classic things that we'll see. One is just, a before and after difference in speed of service. Another thing that we'll see is, typically for multi-unit owners, they'll have kind of a range of performance, right? They'll have some locations that are performing really well, some that are really performing pretty poorly. And once you start kind of managing based on speed of service, what we'll see is that like bottom tier really beginning to disappear, and locations kind of converging. So that stuff can happen as quickly as 30 days post. Some of the things that you do to start addressing speed of service issues do take a little bit of time, things like employee training and so on. And so some of the biggest results we'll see are about 60 days out.
Now, is there any type of placebo effect of just putting cameras in that improves the speed?
Oh, I think it's a huge effect. And I don't think it's a placebo. What you're doing is there's all kinds of parts of your business where you have a lot of information. You have a lot of information about inventory and a lot of information about revenue and so on. And despite being a really important part of the QSR business, this is just not an area that there has been a lot of tools to really understand deeply. And so once you start reporting on this stuff, it's really a strong signal to your staff that, hey, guess what? This is something that is important. We care about it, and we're tracking and reporting on it now. And that has a huge effect on the way that an organization runs.
Now, is there a gamification element to this where I can be, kind of seeing which is the best performing store, and then everybody knows, and they can be working towards improving, a number or a metric?
Absolutely. That also is a very, very large, and it's passive. It's not part of the active management, but it is a very, very large component to success here. Is being able to show stores relative to themselves, how they're performing, and if they're improving or if they're backtracking, how they're doing relative to other locations in the brand. And we very much build gamification into the design. So those emails that I sent you that go out daily. We also have a weekly email that will show, a roundup of, hey, this is the best performing location. And this is the most improved, in terms of the rankings or in terms of overall speed. And what we really love is the kind of engagement that drives, between managers and their staff.
Now, so those emails go out to the individual employees as well?
Yeah, I mean, we each brand runs a little bit differently. There's no one size fits all here, and different brands care about different parts of their service. But it can be a signal that just goes to management, and it can be a signal that goes down to everybody working the shift.
So now, what do you need more of at this point? Do you need just more brands to try this? Is the technology, or I'm sure the technology is always evolving and you're always working on that, but what do you need more? More funding to just keep working on this challenge?
No, we're pretty well funded. So we came out of Y Combinator last summer, which is really kind of the premier, seed stage incubator for technology startups. I mean, at this point, what we always love to do is to start with, new brands. So there's a bunch of brands that we've started having franchisees adopt in. But we're always game to take on, new franchisees, or franchisors that are really interested in diving headfirst into the world of, AI in the QSR space.
And then, so does it matter if they're an emerging brand with, 20 locations, or do you prefer to work with those, or do you want the multi-thousand unit?
the AI is agnostic, and it doesn't care, if you have one location or 40,000 locations. I do think that there's a real opportunity here for emerging brands to begin to get a technological edge over, competitors in their space that are maybe more established or larger, by being a little bit quicker and early into adopting AI technology. It's really a very different type of technology. The nature of AI is that it gets better the more that it's used, because you're right, it is continually being trained. So it learns from the data that it's exposed to. And what that means is that it will become more valuable more quickly to early adopters, as opposed to competitors who wait on the sidelines. So that's a really unique property of AI, and is fundamentally different than other technologies. And so there's a real opportunity there for emerging brands that are kind of a little bit more nimble and able to adopt this in a way that established brands may take a little bit longer. Some brands are doing pretty. McDonald's has been pretty bullish on adopting AI, but there has been a lot of kind of a conservative type of approach that I think that emerging brands can distinguish themselves by staying away from.
Now, have you learned anything that like low-hanging fruit ways to speed up the organization kind of in a generic way so that anybody could benefit? Like, have you learned anything, just best practices from seeing this being deployed in multiple locations and multiple brands, multiple foods?
Yeah, I think the biggest one is the one that you mentioned. Call it a placebo effect, call it a spotlight, but just having a signal that is true, that is, it can't be cheated. It's really, really hard to defeat a camera system that reports speed of service, and that then makes that a part of your management process and practice. And so, now when you're having your team meetings, you're talking about speed and, how long customers are waiting in line before they even get to the order. You're beginning to reward based on that. That is a really easy thing that you can do. Again, for the price of a security system, that then can start to impact the bottom line pretty substantially. I mean, that average 47-second improvement that we're seeing, that's really huge. The implications that has on everything from revenue to queue length to customer satisfaction, and it really doesn't take that much to start to do that for your brand.
Good stuff. Well, congratulations on all the success. If somebody wants to learn more, have a more substantive conversation with you or somebody on the team, what's the website?
The best place to reach us is hellometer.io. So it's HELLOMETER.io. Well, and I should say we also have a newsletter as well. So if you're interested in AI and the QSR space, we publish pretty regularly. You can sign up for that. And it's a pretty great place to start.
Well, Alex, thank you so much for sharing your story today.
Thank you. Really appreciate it.
All right. This is Lee Cantor. We'll see you next time on Franchise Marketing Radio.